Hi, this is Natalie Lander, voice of Kinsey, Tara Branford, Stargirl, and many others. You are listening to a W2Mnet podcast. You can visit W2Mnet.com for other podcasts about entertainment, video games, sports, and wrestling.
Whenever you happen to be listening to this show, you really think that you could get rid of us this easily, even though we're only a few episodes in?
Nope.
Yes. Well, exactly. We're back, and as you know, we always say, life is like a game show. I am your host on this wacky adventure. My name's Erik Watkins, and yes, some of the other brief dulcet tone that you just heard are one of my co-hosts along for this wild ride, the JTN himself, Jonathan Nielsen.
Being introduced first. Okay, this is a little break from norm. We're not seated in the order we're supposed to be on this panel. Fine, I could deal with that. On my left is the often foil to my votes, the man who's sitting in the dark on the video side that you all can't see right now, Mr. Harry Broadhurst. Oh, we're going there tonight. Okay.
Well, I mean, you have to understand, for those who are familiar with the kickoff, which Harry and I co-host, he's more of an audio cue on an audio podcast, because he likes to get on us about the visual cues. Isn't that right, Harry?
Yeah, that's kind of my modus operandi on the kickoff. One of my signature calls on there is when one of us throws up the air quotes, and then I go, yeah, air quotes on an audio podcast. Okay. But anyway, yeah. Looks like we're going to be hitting our chance region here. And unfortunately,
I get to wait one more episode till I get the trivia nightmare.
Unfortunately, that sends us over to our master of ceremonies, doesn't it, Erik?
It does. And special treat for these next couple of episodes, because this is the man. Yes, he hosts the podcast Chapter Select. Yes, he hosts the radio show Tuesday nights on KLCZ. If you happen to be in the local region, Lewiston, Idaho, 88.9 FM, 9 to 11 Eastern, 6 to 8 Pacific. Or you can, R&R Sports Report on the Facebook and YouTube. However, for us, he is the man who has made us feel extremely salty. The wretched, the not respected, the rancid Randy Isbell.
Hi guys, how you guys been doing? It's been a week. We cooled down. We're having a good time, right? Everything's good.
No, we're still pissed off.
We've simmered.
Now keep in mind, there's a little bit of a bonus these next couple of episodes. It will make more sense, especially if we get into trivia next time around. But these next two episodes, needless to say, there's going to be special lifelines used for extra saltiness, directed at our wannabe bracketologist, Mr. Isbell. So just keep in mind.
All right, well, I don't think we'll have to use it off the bat. Like Harry had said, we're doing the chance and miscellaneous portion of the bracket. If you're following along, it's the bottom right-hand section of your bracket. Are you guys ready?
I think when we get through this round, we're going to need a full visual available to us.
That's not allowed.
Yeah, I'm probably going to end up having to turn on my light in my apartment so that way you can see how pissed off I am at you.
Just be lucky that this time around I'm sober. Not by choice, but I'm sober.
Yeah,
so
those two are the most important two words that you've ever uttered, Randy, for now.
Let's start it off. Your 1 seed, The Price is Right. The 16 seed, which you guys chose, The Power of 10.
So I could sum this up by one phrase. You just won $1 million. Because these shows have a common host.
And the $1 million has been given away on both shows. Remember the Price is Right $1 million primetime specials.
I do remember that clock game run. Freaking amazing. And, of course, Power Ted shot the load first go around.
But hey, you have to realize, whose line really was it anyway?
Go Gators.
Did he seriously just throw out a whose line? Man, would that have classified as a game show, even though the points were made up and none of it really matters?
It may make an appearance later tonight.
Crap.
I like Who's Line. I always thought Who's Line was fun. Although definitely more the Drew Carey era than the Aisha Taylor era.
Erik, have you memorized the entire game show host hoedown yet?
No, I have not. Not yet.
There is one verse in there that's kind of applicable here, seeing as we're talking about Drew Carey.
And first of all, for Harry, Aisha Tyler. And we also have to give love to them across the pond as well.
Yeah, I knew it was Tyler as soon as I said Taylor. It's Aisha?
Yeah.
Can't say I've cared enough to watch it, so it really doesn't matter to me.
Look, as someone who watches Archer on a very religious basis, how dare you?
The lady from Archer just passed away, too.
Rest in peace, Jessica Walter.
Rest in peace, His Royal Highness, while we're at it. For those in the UK.
Jonathan, you've got the details behind the prices right here, so I'll kick it to you for the Wikipedia rundown.
I appreciate it, and strap in. This one's going to take a while. We got to go throw it all the way back to the black and white era, 1956, on NBC. You know it's NBC because you have the voice of Don Pardo, the dean of game shows, as he is commonly known. Yeah, I'm yelling at you guys from the previous episode. You used that title incorrectly. Bill Cullen. And no, this was not a rigged show, since we are talking about the 50s. Thank you very much. 9 seasons, 2,263 episodes before they got the boot finally in 65. They did lose Don Pardo midway because of a network jump from NBC to ABC in 63. Of course, Don Pardo being part of the NBC radio era, his contract is always network exclusive. And if you're wondering where you've heard that voice before, check SNL in the recent years. You could still hear him up until surprisingly recently. But Erik, you've got some memories of this version, giving away a house.
Well, giving away a house, giving away a laundromat trailer. I mean, when you talk about the era where contestants at home could win prizes, this show did not fuck around. If you could do your research and you could get the prices for everything down to a penny and be the lucky ones to get it in first and have your name draw, you would have a heyday back on these shows. Lest we forget the in-studio contestants winning things like, I don't know, the jars of mayonnaise that held thousands of gallons, an 18,000-piece silverware set, or a 40-day cruise.
Or a 1926 Rolls-Royce with chauffeur. Ferris wheel, shares of corporate stock, an island in the St. Lawrence Seaway, an airplane, or even a submarine. Again, keep in mind, Wikipedia for you academics out there, not a credible source. But, yeah. You want to know how the show's run? Basically, it's one bid from the current version. There you go. There's the quickest summary I can give.
Didn't Classic Concentration do that whole stock giveaway as one of the prizes as well?
Wouldn't surprise me if they did on the NARS era.
I seem to remember when Trebek was hosting, they did like stock shares as one of the giveaways.
Maybe in small amounts, considering it was the 80s.
10 or 15 shares or whatever it was.
That would make more sense.
Yeah.
I have stepped into the light on an audio podcast.
He's seen the light, and it doesn't burn, for it is good.
It kind of does burn, I'm not going to lie.
Well, flash forward to September 4th, 1972, where 4 people from the studios are told to stand up and come on down on the new Price is Right. Do I really need to describe this show? Yes, actually I do, before 1975, because it changed formats in that year, going from the standard 30 minutes to the Power Hour.
Now,
Interesting of this little thing called a rainbow wheel.
Now, if I remember correctly, I might be slightly off on the date. October 20th, 1975?
Sounds about right. I'm going to do a pull on that. Yeah, I can't get the actual date offhand, but it was 75.
Yes, October 20th, 1975. You wonder, hey, Squid, how the hell do you know that exact date? Well, for those of you who watched Game Show Network back in the day, they ran trivia during or airing the original episodes. They aired the episode from November 18th, and they said this was less than a month after the show first became the Power Hour. And that date stuck in my mind ever since. You may continue.
So this run has a number of episodes, and I get to make an anime reference here that is mistranslated from the original, because the number of episodes, it's over 9,000!
What? 9,000? There's no way that can be right. Can it?
I think it's right. Yeah, one of the longest running network series in U.S. television history.
Yeah, folks, in case you can't tell, we're a bunch of fucking nerds on this podcast.
We've admitted this on previous episodes. 49th season began October 27th, 2020. Rare daytime episodes began November 16th. Thank you, pandemic.
Yeah, not super huge on the new setup, I'm not going to lie. Like, I understand the necessity for it, at least under the current climate, but the sooner we get back to the original Price is Right format with the crowd going crazy and the people actually coming on down instead of coming through the curtain, the better off I think we'll all be. I find current era episodes of the Price is Right, pandemic era episodes of the Price is Right, next to impossible to sit through.
Due to my previous experiences with discussing certain subjects in YouTube algorithms, I will refrain from giving any such opinions about this particular topic.
So, normally I don't like to go into this side of things, but there's another individual besides your hosts, besides your announcers, like the legendary Johnny Olson, Rod Roddy. You've also got Rich Fields. You got George Gray. You got a whole bunch of substitute announcers for when announcers came down with the infamous laryngitis.
Hey, laryngitis is no joke. I've had it a couple of times, especially as a play-by-play announcer. It's not fun.
There's a man by the name of Mark Breslow.
Who?
Who definitely deserves a mention here as the original director from 72 till 86. There's someone with even a longer run as a producer of this show. The record keeper himself, Roger Dobkowitz. I think his departure is really what marked the first ever decline this show has had since day one. I'm seeing Erik nodding.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Kathy Greco, don't get me started.
So, definitely a show with a very lengthy history, not to mention an equally as long of a laundry list of international versions as well.
But wait, before we even mention international, there's even more. You've got the nighttime prices right with another game show legend in Dennis James. Yeah, they gave away furs. Shocking, I know. This was before Bob had his enlightenment as to what really went on with the fur industry, etc., etc. But if you want a Price is Right version that I think is the most underappreciated of all of them, look to the 80s nighttime version with Tom Kennedy.
That name sounds familiar. Wasn't he also the host of one of the Passwords?
Yes, he came in right after we lost Alan Ludden.
I thought the name sounded familiar. All right. I don't want to go too far into detail because we do have a deep dive obviously planned for down the road for Price is Right. So without giving away too much into it there, I think it would be better that we save some of the other odds and ends here. Let's talk about the
You mean like the absolute crap that was the 94 version and Game Show Marathon is its own entity, so we're not going to go there either? Good idea.
Agreed.
Let's also consider the fact that we have other shows to discuss tonight, and I don't want this to be a 3-hour podcast.
A 3-hour podcast.
To be fair,
a 3-hour podcast.
To show it the most of stuff we have to talk about. It ain't going to get worse than Price is Right, period.
No, one of the longest running game shows in American history, maybe one of the longest running game shows in world history. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now. And arguably the two most famous hosts in game show history in terms of recent game show times here, as the great Bob Barker succeeded to Drew Carey, who I think has done a fantastic job carrying the mantle on to The Price is Right.
I'd agree, but I would still put Bill Cullen overall as the bigger name overall than Drew Carey. I might have his opinion, and I'm okay with that.
You can make that assessment, but at the same time, I think Carey's meant more to The Price is Right than Cullen has, because Cullen made his name in other shows.
Now, granted, though, if you're talking about overall realm, yes, Drew Carey is the bigger name. Drew Carey's show, Green Screen Show, Whose Line, etc. In the game show realm specifically, Cullen trumps.
Oh, no argument here, but Cullen's better known for other game shows, whereas this is Carey's baby since taking over from Barker. True. Speaking of Drew Carey, I believe we call that a segue.
You actually skipped over a segue I was going to make, that I was going to pay for that $400 plus flight out to Idaho if Randy puts Trump card on this fucking list.
You're lucky I have no idea what that is. So
I've never heard of it either.
Spoilers, it's not on here.
All right.
Thank God.
May I go back to my segue now?
Certainly. I don't need to go on a political rant. Thank you.
Slightly delayed segue. Drew Carey, host of Price is Right. Drew Carey, also the host of its abbreviated opponent, The Power of 10, a game show that aired night times on CBS with a Michael Davis creation, a Michael Davis and Vincent Rubino executive production, brought to you by Embassy Row and Sony Pictures Television. Its run went from August of 2007 to January of 2008. And as was pointed out on our play-in episode, the show managed to do something that most game shows don't do. It managed to give away its biggest prize. Well, second biggest prize, technically.
The biggest it ever awarded.
Yes, it managed to give away its biggest prize on its very first episode. See, I would say that that's a hook. And that would get people excited to tune in for future episodes.
Oh, but come on. If you shoot your load too early, you're never going to last long.
Speaking from personal experience, Mr. Watkins.
Nope.
I would say here, personally, the show that blew its load too early has to defer to the one that says, come on down. I more people went there. My votes for Price is Right. Let's get on with this.
Yeah, we kind of gave Power 10 the conversation that it needed in its play-in game against the Moment of Truth, and I just want to say how glad I am that what basically equated to Jerry Springer as a game show got booted before we got to the bracket. But yeah, this one's a no contest. This is all TPIR.
Make that a clean sweep for everyone out there in podcast land. The price is always right.
Price is right. Moves on. That brings us to the 8-9 matchup. Your 8 seed, What's My Line? The 9th seed, To Tell the Truth.
You bastard! Battle of the Black and White Classic.
You see, I'm not. I gotta be honest.
I'll be back in a sec.
Okay. While Jonathan throws a temper tantrum, I think he might need a lifeline here, Erik. I gotta be honest with you guys. I'm not super familiar with either one of these shows. I didn't get to watch a ton of either of them.
Nani?
I mean, to tell the truth, I'm more familiar with the remake version that's hosted on ABC by Anthony Anderson.
Okay, but did you even watch not just this remake, which you're familiar with, but to tell the truth, the John O'Hurley version from not as far way back, but fairly recently?
Would that have been
solid?
Would that have been on Fox?
Oh, syndicated. Okay.
I got to be honest, it's not ringing. I mean, I know who John O'Hurley is. It's the version's not ringing any bells though. What's My Line? I know airs still on Buzzer, really late at night, and every now and then I'll catch up an episode.
Oh, wow! Again, if you're saving your lifeline for that reason, John, I have no qualms. No qualms. God, it looks delicious.
All right. I'm going to defer to the two gentlemen that know both of these shows better than I, but I will throw my vote out there, and it's mostly because I am more familiarized with the Anthony Anderson remake, which I do think is actually pretty entertaining most of the time. Anderson's done a fantastic job as host. I'm going to go with To Tell the Truth.
And that's fair. I can respect that, just not having the general history and this is a master's degree game show history right now. We're about to get into, I fear.
Thanks, you fucking Randy.
Here's a random kudo that I do have to give to Tell the Truth, though. Randy West was a contestant. Yes, game show announcer Randy West was on this show. He was an imposter. I forget what he was an imposter of, but I remember he was an imposter. He did a darn good job of it. He just some people on the panel.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because as you said rightly so, John, the Battle of the Black and White Classics, every single version dating from 1956 all the way.
Okay, you're talking about Truth. Good.
Yes. Talking about two.
I had to wait for the year.
Well, actually, you're talking about What's My Line with the panels.
Oh, then you're talking about 1950.
Well, no, because this for particular because it relates to one person from 1956 all the way through every version to 1991. There was one panelist that appeared on at least one episode every single version.
What's My Line, you're saying? It's got to be Bennett Cerf, yeah?
No.
Okay. Then it's got to be Arlene Francis.
She's the one.
I need to
Arlene Francis.
Okay.
No. Before you do. Harry, who did you say that yours went through again? Just to refresh my memory. As you unmute your microphone. As you still...
Cool. You muted.
It's a new recording device. Leave me alone.
So, remind us of your vote. But the button! You pushed the button!
I hit the goddamn button, Erik.
Now, don't hit it again.
I make no such promises.
Tell us the truth. Who did you vote for?
To tell you the truth, I voted to tell the truth.
Because as much as I like and appreciate to tell the truth,
Oh, you're gonna make
bastard. You're not
gonna make Jonathan choose, aren't you?
Do this to me.
yeah,
It's revenge from 2 episodes ago. We all saw this stuff.
And I'm even making this extra legitimate because with the sheer variety of all the different contestants, and especially you never knew what was coming, and even the extra bits in the black and white version of What's My Line, when you had the really famous celebrities of the time coming out as the mystery guests, it was always just this great pace. You never fully knew what to expect from the panelists and the kinds of questions and stuff they would ask half the time. I'm gonna go with What's My Line. Jonathan.
Okay, yeah, I'm drinking already. So first, we need the history lesson. This is one where we absolutely do.
Well, first we need to inform everybody that Erik Watkins is a douche because he is smiling about Sophie's choosing Jonathan with this.
Turnabout is fair play, Mr. Nielsen.
God, fuck. Would the real asshole here please stand up?
Oh shit, that's What's My Line?
Oh shit, both of them stood up. Damn. For those
on an audio podcast, that worked out really well.
Well, look at the bright side, Randy. At least they could hear you standing up, unlike when my microphone was muted.
All right. Bob Stewart creation on To Tell the Truth started in '56 on CBS till '68. Then it went Cindy '69 to '78. Came back in '80 to '81 for another Cindy run. '90 to '91 on NBC, hosted by the late and great Alex Trebek, of all people. You got the 2000-2002 Cindy and a 2016 to present on ABC. Yeah, you heard that right. The 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s. That's 7 fucking decades.
Is there another game show that can claim that kind of longevity? I don't think that there is.
Price is Right ties it.
Yeah. I was going to say during that original run, and it came back in time to keep that streak going.
So started in '56.
It started in the 50s, it came back in the late 60s, and then has been on the air since?
Yeah, it went 50. Price went 56 to 63, then jumped networks down to 65. Then came back at 72.
Yeah.
Even so, the fact that it went to 63 gave it that second decade.
Yeah.
Got all the decades covered.
Mm-hmm. That's impressive. Fuck.
Tell the truth. You got 2 imposters trying to figure out who's the real person, who is the only person sworn to tell the truth.
And if Anthony Anderson's mama gets them all right, it's a bonus.
Yeah. So let's recap the hosts in reverse chronological, since you mentioned Anthony Anderson. You go back to John O'Hurley, you go back to Alex Trebek, go to Lynn Swan, to Gordon Elliott, to Robin Ward, to Joe Garagiola. Gary Moore in the original, but call it...
Garagiola, first of all.
Yeah, I'll never pronounce shit right.
Second of all, Lynn Swan is in the football player?
Yeah.
Football player and former athletic director.
Football players and game show hosts. See Jeopardy.
Whose decision was it to kick that field goal?
More on that next time. So, yeah, you got that.
All right, what about what's my line?
And the who's who on panelists on each side. Just go look it up on your own at that point, because it's a who's who of everything. What's my line? John Charles Daly from 50 till 67 on CBS. And the final mystery guest, because he had to keep himself in the back pocket in case someone didn't show. And there were some close calls of up to a minute before a live show goes on the air, because they didn't tape shit back then.
Nope.
Revived in the Cindy's in 68, going until 75. 25th anniversary special, 25 years after it was on the air. You got a live staged version going from 04 to present. I mean, I've even referenced this show in our intros, and I did it even today on my left. This was just something you turned into on a regular basis. These shows are fucking American. It's just, God damn it, Randy.
Let's just do this.
Larry Byron don't hold a candle to Daly.
This matchup brought to you by the famed movie Sophie's Choice. Pepperidge Farm.
You got Dorothy Kilgallen. You got Hal Block. Okay, not so great there. You got Bennett Cerf. You got Steve Hound. You got Fred Hound. Soapy Sales. I'm requesting an audible.
Jonathan? Somewhere Lingo is smiling at you.
I'm going to need about more than 30 seconds more to think about this, I think. Can we go on to a 5-12 and come back?
Okay, and if you use it now, you can't have it for the one that we discussed earlier.
One per episode. One per
person per conversation, which means only Erik will have his left.
I'll take on this one. This is a good 8-9, by the way, Randy. I do have to give you props on this.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot.
Similar concept it shows too, with the idea of trying to figure out either the mystery guest or the mystery occupation.
Fuck it. Randy, sign in and say I am an asshole. What's my line moves on.
So he saves his audible.
All right. What's my line moves on. Let's see if this one's a little bit nicer to you guys.
Before you make the announcement for the 5-12, I just want to say something here. I'm getting real tired of being on the business end of these decisions.
Look, I wish I was on the business end of another decision involving Stacy, but I'm not, and I haven't been. Now have I? We live with things, Broadhurst. We live with things.
To be fair, What's My Line is going to get beaten senseless by Price is Right. Moving on.
All right, let's see if it's a little nicer here. The 5 seed, Card Sharks, or the 12 seed, Truth or Consequences.
Interesting. Now we're going history versus current.
Well, history and current in the case of Card Sharks.
Yeah, but Truth or Consequences, that's a way back. Allow me to make a proper sports reference here. Back.
However, they do, and it's funny that you mentioned this show in particular, you mustachioed mind-reading fuck, because I had just attempted to watch the very rare quasi-modern day pilot of Truth or Consequences presented from Wink Martindale's Vault on YouTube.
Shout outs to the Vault. Tells us about all the pilots we don't know about.
You damn Skippy!
Shout out to YouTube specifically.
Yeah, this is the one time I'm going to give them credit, which is exactly why, again, I don't discuss certain things, because I've already had experience with the show being taken down. So, yeah, there's that. No, I'm not bitter.
So not be confused with the town in New Mexico. Truth or Consequences, you're talking a time frame of Ugh. NBC Radio with Ralph Edwards from 40 till 57. Television with Edwards, 50 to 54. Jack Bailey, 54 to 56. Bob Barker, yeah, you heard that name right, 56 to 75. Got a little Steve Dunn in there, and Bob Hilton and Larry Anderson to close it out in 88. CBS, NBC, and Cindy. I think that's good enough for the history coverage, yeah?
Yeah, I would think so. And for Card Sharks, ooh.
Hold on. Allow me to pull up the Wikipedia here, and I shall.
And while you do so, I will say fuck 2001 Sideways, up the ass, no lube.
Well,
I think we can all agree on that one.
Can we give Joel McHale his flowers though? He's done a fantastic job with the rebooted version.
Enough for him to actually get another show that I'm anxious to see.
Now that they fixed the push rule, absolutely.
What are they doing? What's McHale doing now?
Crime Scene Kitchen. You have like teams that are going in and trying to figure out what was made in that kitchen based upon clues and ingredients and such.
Card Sharks is an American television game show created by Chester Feldman for Mark Goodson, Bill Todman Productions. Based on the card game AC Doocy, the game has two contestants competing for control of a roll of oversized playing cards by answering questions posed by the host and guessing if the next card is higher or lower in value than the previous one. Fun fact, high-low has also become a very popular casino game off of a game show such as this as well. One that I've actually played in a casino before. Your previous hosts, in addition to the current day host of Joel McHale, include Jim Perry, another one of the all-time game show pantheons. Bob Eubanks, who himself is up there as well. I think that's our next tournament, guys. Game show host.
Yeah, gotta be. Eubanks was rock solid too.
Oh no!
Took him a while to make the show his own.
I don't know if I want to give Randy that kind of power because next thing you know, the three of us will be making a flight.
It's okay because it won't be until next year. That's the way these tournaments work with the feeling the power.
Touche, but
once
still,
a year.
I can make reservations in advance if need be.
Bill Rafferty. Who also hosted Every Second Counts and Blockbusters. Blockbusters, another personal favorite of mine, which we haven't gotten to yet.
He did better with that show than Card Sharks, I believe. But more on that later.
Sorry about that. Didn't get a chance to hit the mute button, but every time I do, you guys yell at me that I don't know how to find it to turn it back off. And Pat,
you're allergic to Rafferty. Got it.
I'm allergic to Every Second Counts. And Pat Bullard, who, I got to be honest with you, never heard of him.
Fuck that version.
And I'm guessing I didn't miss much based on Jonathan's reaction.
Erik, I got 2 words for you. Clip chip.
Yeah, I saw that and like, no. Completely disregarded in the Card Sharks era.
Okay, but I do think that to me this one's not close. I think this is Card Sharks all day.
And the reason why you get put in these situations is because you make the vote first. Erik, you're denied. Card Sharks gets a second vote. Sorry, Bob.
This is for nothing or
$28,800. The watch to go with it.
It's Card Sharks.
Watch the pilots. Watch the pilots. Watch Norma Brown. That's all we got to say about Card Sharks. If you want to watch the classics.
And by the way, when you talk about the push rule, yeah, 78 was just brutal.
The current.
Also, another YouTube clip for you: the Terrible Threes.
Oh God. Oh.
The current card hostesses is actually kind of cute.
They have always had lovely ladies with that show.
I mean, for their time, I guess. Just it's weird for me looking back on like 60s and 70s game shows and thinking these women are attractive, knowing they're old enough to be my grandma.
Hey. Concentration episode, what was it, 354, dating back to 1974? No, I did not watch that episode on YouTube 5 times. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's pretty much the same look on my face right now, Randy. Visual
I'm
cue on
confused.
an audio podcast. Yep.
And actually, since we're getting into the history side a bit more than usual here, can we just make it a general rule? Are we going to limit ourselves to just TV? Or for these shows that go back in the radio era, are we going to count the radio era as well?
I think this is a television one just because of the fact that the radio products are probably difficult, if not impossible, to find.
I think with the radio products, almost all of them being wiped, we really can't use that as any sort of a benefit. So TV only.
And I would say Truth or Consequences' strength is really in the radio era, so that's really what hurts it, in my opinion. That's why I'm going Card Sharks here.
Right,
And it stood the test of time, whereas that one didn't.
Card Sharks moves on, and we go to the 4-13 matchup, which I just realized I should have switched things around to have some symmetry, but that's okay.
Too late.
The 4 seed, Deal or No Deal, or the 13 seed, Catch 21.
Eric's making a face, but I gotta be honest with you guys. This one's not especially close to me.
Erik?
I mean,
Only one question you need to ask here. Hi, ladies.
all I'm just gonna say is this, especially if you saw when NBC did the international one. You know where I'm going with this, Sean. 26K? Bring out the cases. I say
So
no
are we doing
more,
a quick
even
one
though
here?
it's like, you made this interesting, hence the face, but I can't make it any deliberate case for why it's incredibly close.
Case, I see what you did there.
So are we making this a quick one then?
Deal.
Well, I want to give Catch 21 some credit because it's one of the more newer concepts that we've done on this show.
Well, actually, I got to ask you a question now, Randy. Is Gambit on the list?
No, it is not on the list.
I would like to, for the purposes of this lump, Catch 21 and Gambit together. They are similar enough you could almost consider Catch 21 the successor of Gambit. It's GSN's spin on a Meryl Heater classic.
But here's the rub, though. They're similar, but you also have to think carefully as far as, like, brackets, because I see where you're going with that. But if you're going Gambit, and yes, I'm even going to throw Las Vegas Gambit in there.
They're the same, they just changed the filming location. Go ahead.
Well aware, but there was that additional sort of like a team kind of aspect because of the couples.
Fine. No deal. Still deal or no deal wins, in my opinion. Catch 21 just for the history's sake and checking of the box. You're talking about a 2008 version as well as a 2019 revival. Game Show Network for both, ironically enough. Good, solid show, but you're up against a juggernaut here.
Again, I do kind of wish I would have put Card Sharks and Catch 21 together just for the card theme, and then Deal or No Deal and Truth or Consequences together, but
it wouldn't have affected anything, honestly.
No, I agree. Just the symmetry of it. All right, let's move on to the one thing that I changed on here.
It'll be interesting next round, though. Deal or No Deal, Card Sharks.
That'd be good. I did change one thing from you guys' comments from our what?
Oh, we do need to talk about the history of Deal or No Deal, though. We do need to address it. But go ahead while I pull that up.
Well, I mean, since Deal or No Deal's moving on, we can kind of do that in the next round, can't we? Because the second round's going to be an episode unto itself when we go through all 16 matchups.
2005 on pretty consistently till 2010, brought back in 18 till 19. Howie Mandel all day long. Yeah, we can keep the rest for later. The UK version has an interesting moment, but remind me of that next time we talk about this show.
I do want to give Catch 21 some credit, though, because I think Catch 21 was one of GSN's first real success stories.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it was them kind of fully branching out into their own.
Like, one of my most favorite memories of GSN is the fact that they got the launching with Alfonso Ribeiro for Catch 21. And what was it, Mickey Padilla, I think her name was?
Yep. Mickey Padilla is your dealer.
So just credit where credit is due to Catch 21 for helping give the ability to GSN to do its own spin on, and not only just airing classic game shows, but coming up with concepts of its own, which has led to some other important game shows that we've talked about before, such as the one that it murdered me to eliminate in the first round just 2 episodes ago, when America Says.
Oh, you also had Whitney Carson as the dealer for the second run of it.
Now, if you're going to go back, lest we forget, if you're going and saying, like, the real closer to GSN era, yes, it's Catch 21, but you had a whole bunch of stuff that really unique sort of original content during the Game Show Network era. Extreme Gong, for an example.
Okay, I think we're ready now, Mr. Isbell.
We ready?
Ready? We're ready to hit the gong now. Next, please.
Okay, so like I was trying to say, I did make an audible from some of your guys' suggestions from our first pilot episode, and it helped that there was one trivia show that I had forgotten about, so I was able to make this move. But your 3 seed, Wheel of Fortune, I took it out of trivia, so you guys are happy, hopefully, versus the 14 seed, Treasure Hunt.
Ooh.
See, this is
I do like me some.
This is another one that has a game show that I am not familiar with.
I'm sorry. I mean,
the genius.
I mean, in this case, you really got to admit this matchup is a bit of a clunk. You see what I did there?
I do see what you did there. Now, are we talking the 50s Treasure Hunt? Or are we talking 1970s, the all-new Treasure Hunt? Or are we talking that short-lived 80s version?
I'm not talking about any of them because I don't think I've ever seen a single episode of this show.
I am most familiar with the 70s version, which you know.
Basically, okay, here's the skinny. Contestant picked at random via various methods that changed throughout the run. There's a set number of prize boxes wrapped up like Christmas presents on the stage. Each one's numbered. Each one not only has something in it, but also has a cash envelope on top. So say you pick box 23. Ironically enough, we're doing this right after a Deal or No Deal. Yeah, I don't care about that game. Thanks, though, Randy. Talking about a different game right now.
No, leave it there. I'm good.
Okay.
That was done specifically for me.
Chuck Barris brings the box. Oh no, Jeff Edwards. Sorry, he hosted this. It was a Chuck Barris creation, at least that version. Jan Murray made the '50s one, but we ain't talking so much about that one because we're not an expert in tape wiping. So you're told what the cash amount is on the envelope. You get the cash counted out right in front of you because that's the way it was back in the day. And you had the choice of either keep the cash or hand it back for what's inside the box. Could be a check for $25,000. Could be the fact you just won a new car worth almost that much. Could be a clunk. Eric, if you describe what a clunk is.
Wait. So they basically made an entire game show out of one of the Let's Make a Deal card giveaways.
Essentially, but not quite. There's some different twists and elements.
Yeah,
However,
sounds like let's make a deal to me.
Since you did mention Let's Make a Deal, there are similarities. For those of you who are familiar with Let's Make a Deal and Zonks, you're kind of cheapo, not prize surprises, very hilarious in nature. They were clunks on Treasure Hunt.
Oh yeah, and they also stuck you a commercial commercial break right before you made your decision. Probably so they had time to set up the skit that came with that particular cash envelope, prize, clunk, whatever. Because there was a bit of theatrical element here.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the 70s version, they had a progressive jackpot to where if the check was not found, the amount of the check increased by $1,000 every episode? I might be wrong here.
I do remember something like that. That might have been a late on in the 70s run or possibly on the 80s.
Because when Game Show Network did a treasure hunt marathon, and they always had that entire marathon, several hours, we won't stop until the treasure is found. I remember the check amount getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh, you mean like Deal or No Deal just kept saying, we got another $1 million case and another $1 million case until it was finally won?
Yeah, wasn't it like $13 million cases by the time somebody hit it?
It was bad.
Almost millionaire bad.
So, who wants to talk about Wheel of Fortune? Start it with Shopper's Bazaar, please.
No.
And also, just as a heads up, thank you, Wikipedia, for making me realize this, because I was not aware. We are not talking about a different show with the same name from 1952, which I'm going to go look up because I'm curious.
Down the rabbit hole he goes. But remember, academics, it's a credible source for us, but Wikipedia is not a credible source for you.
True story.
I appreciate me some Wheel of Fortune. All right, I'll go ahead and I'll touch on Wheel of Fortune here real quick here. Are we going to talk about specifically the Pat Sajak and Vanna White version that has been in place since the 80s?
We can go back to Chuck.
Are we going to go back even further to previous co-hosts? Or are we going to talk about the syndicated version that was hosted by Bob Goen, best known for Entertainment Tonight?
I'll throw in another name for you. Does the name Rolf Benershka ring any bells?
Yeah, it does, because I just said it before you did.
Damn it!
Hey, a worst host's bracket, he takes the cake. You don't even need to run it.
I would argue that much the same way as Jeopardy, which, by the way to be a colossal dick and set us up. Oh wait, no, Jeopardy's in trivia. Never mind. I think we're okay.
Yeah, this move made us, to steal a phrase from Erik, safe!
We might be looking at a Price is Right Wheel of Fortune final, though. That's going to be a bitch for me. Because that's my childhood in a nutshell right there.
If it's a Price is Right Fortune final, I'm going to have edibles on deck. Guaranteed.
Well, before that, it's going to be Price Wheel.
Are we just ignoring him? Is that what we're doing? Because that feels like the safe way out of this conversation, Erik. You're muted, Watkins.
I know I was muted, and I was going to unmute.
I just wanted to yell at you to hit the button like you did me.
Well, that's because you were actually talking and meaning to talk while unmuted.
Okay. There's one thing I do have to give Treasure Hunt the check mark in just comparing like-to-like parts of the shows. When it comes to themes, Treasure Hunt to the current Wheel of Fortune by a mile.
Agreed.
Classic Wheel, though? Oh, so good.
Yeah, I'm not super sold on the updated version of the Wheel of Fortune theme. The original version with the Wheel of Fortune. Do 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 do. It was an earbud.
Dalmatian for $260, please.
Oh, God, going shopping. But hey, you can always put the money on account.
I'll take gift certificate.
Or you could get it as a gift certificate. God damn it, Jonathan!
Twice in a row.
That reference I actually got, and I wanted to pop in there with it, and he beat me to it. Like I said,
the only thing a Jets fan will have success with twice in a row. So.
Yeah. You know what the Jets equivalent of Wheel of Fortune moments are? Allow me to quote Sajak. All right, I'm going to give the wheel a final spin. If gas gives the letter in the puzzle of 5 seconds so vowels worth nothing, consonants also worth nothing. Let's try this again. They edit those out now, thank goodness.
Yeah, which kind of
there's a good montage out there on the internet of final spin bankrupts and lose it turns. And a surprise even, because host's got enough of those, he can't win anymore.
So now
can't spin a prize on final spin either.
Well, now I know what I'm doing after we do our next episode.
Oh, it's a great binge.
Erik, yay.
Smoke weed every day.
All right, let's get to the voting format portion of this particular matchup here. And while Treasure Hunt does sound like something that I will give a look-see once we're done here, just because of the fact that I do appreciate Let's Make a Deal, and it does come off very Let's Make a Dealian. Wheel of Fortune's an American classic.
Vote Wheel every day.
I gotta make this a sweep, even though the Australian version had some, interesting moments in of itself, and good lord, the wheels for the Aussie version. Christ, those were some crazy amounts. But again, it's wheel.
Funny, crazy Wheel of Fortune moment. The thrill of victory.
And the agony of defeat.
Mythological hero Atchilus.
Thank you, Harry.
Somebody's been watching Game Show Garbage on YouTube recently.
That's actually a up, down Uno reference, and I knew that would pop. Randy.
Wait, same reference to two different things?
Okay, so there's a video game channel called Up, Down. It's ran by a wrestler named Xavier Woods. His video game name is Austin Creed.
I prefer left, right personally, but go ahead.
And they play Uno there, but they also play Up, Down. They also play Wheel of Fortune on the channel on occasion as well. And when one of the games of Uno, that particular puzzle came up in reference to a contestant super blowing it in a game. And ever since then, it's been a running bit on the show. Originally, they even mispronounced the puzzle because they would say Greek god Atchilus instead of mythological, but still.
Erik, is this unanimous?
It's unanimous.
Randy, that reference was specifically for you, so don't be a dick.
I appreciated that reference.
He will be, but so far, again, the lifelines, we may not need them this episode, at least so far, which is a good thing.
I've been nicer this episode. You guys kept talking about let's make a deal with Treasure Hunt, so let's get to it.
That's
Your
not
sixth
true.
seed.
Real
let's
quick,
make a deal.
That's not true, Erik, because we haven't gotten to the 7-10 yet.
The split, baby.
What's that?
Are you trying to insinuate, Randy, that the 6 is let's make a deal?
I am trying to insinuate the 6th seed is let's make a deal, and the 11th seed, concentration.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Okay, we're about to have heat. Erik?
Yeah?
Erik? It's lifeline time.
So...
Hey, Randy.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of the show Name That Tune?
Well, you should mention that. Yeah?
Well, for this one, I'm going to be nice, and I'm actually going to give you the lyrics for this particular lifeline.
Don't forget the lyrics. More on that later, possibly.
Oh, we're from Tigerland. A fighting fury, we're from Tigerland. In any weather, you will see us with a grin, risking head and chin. If we're behind, then never mind, we'll fight and win, for we're from Tigerland. We'll never weaken till the final siren's gone. Like the tiger of old, we're strong and we're bold, for we're from Tiger. Yellow and black, 'cause we're from Tigerland.
Fight song? Was that the Shawnee State fight song?
Nope.
Oh dear.
No.
Brandy knows.
It's an Aussie Rules football thing. They have the greatest fight songs, by the way, if you don't watch
Two
Aussie
more
Rules
on
football.
deck. Just saying.
All right, so anyway, back to Let's Make a Deal versus Concentrate. Man, this one's tough for me. Like I really like the original version of Let's Make a Deal.
You've got two battles here. You've got Monty Hall versus Hugh Downs, Bob Clayton, Ed McMahon, Jack Nars. And you also have Wayne Brady versus Alex Trebek. That's the way I see this here. And the problem is, on each of those, I would vote opposite ways. So fuck!
Yeah, because Trebek takes Brady and Monty Hall. Monty Hall runs the gambit for
the original.
For Let's Make a Deal. I'm going to go with which one do I watch more often? We referenced Let's Make a Deal earlier when you talked about the treasure hunt there.
Wait a minute. Harry?
But, yes,
Continue, but don't place your vote. You keep
I'm
complaining about getting burned. I want to give you last say on this one.
No, because you guys aren't setting me up for Sophie's Choice here. That's not happening.
God!
Nice try.
Let's make a deal. There's my vote.
You good.
Eric, quick.
Concentration.
Sophie.
I hate all of you so badly right
And
now.
honestly, concentration was going to be my vote anyways. As much as I love Let's Make a Deal, and the fact that I'm even discounting the failed Orson Bean pilot for concentration, because we don't talk about that around these parts. Concentration, the Jack Nars concentration, Trebek's classic concentration, those were my shit.
I go back to which show has more rewatch value. And to me, the show that has more rewatch value, the show that you can go back and watch more often, I'm going to side with Erik on this one. It's an 11 over a 6. Concentration knocks out Let's Make a Deal.
This is what happens when you can go through all those versions and not repeat a single Rebus puzzle. Thank you, Harry. I'm sorry. I hated to do it, especially because of the famous, and John, you know this, we talk about the Monty Hall problem all the time, but
it's not as it gets cited all the time.
I'm sorry. I can't.
Let's also talk about the fact that Classic Concentration had a kick-ass home game, too.
Yeah.
Let's Make a Deal has never really had a very good play-at-home version.
Yeah, but the original's bonus game, not really. The card game from Trebek era, rock. Pretty solid.
No, and even with Jack Nars, that bonus game was brutal. Both versions, brutal.
I do love the car bonus game in Concentration, and especially the 15 seconds. If somebody doesn't win it, and if they make it back, they get an additional 15 to try to win. I think that's a nice touch.
So 5.
5.
Oh,
it
5?
increased by 5.
For an extra 5 car seconds in the front game.
Also, I always thought that it was really cool that they gave away those trips on the regular board as well in the Trebek version.
Not to mention, if you look at, I know they did it early on in the Nars version, the currency round.
Well, you've also got from that era something that really is what honestly made me vote the way I did from the original. Forfeit one gift.
Randy, did we hit high rollers yet?
Has not come up at all.
Has not come up yet, no.
Will it come up?
There's going to be a Joker's Wild and a High Rollers against each other. I'm calling it right now. Is that the 7-10? Because I think it's done here.
I would think that High Rollers has to come up still because...
No. Harry, listen to what the man said. No comment. There's 2 lifelines left. over these next couple of episodes.
And
I'm just saying.
Some bitch better not move high rollers to trivia.
Or Joker's wild. Zyto Eric's could have some shit to say about Joker.
Yeah. Can I just point out what we just set up for the second round? Wheel of Fortune versus Concentration. 2 puzzle games up against each other.
I didn't do this to you. You did this to you.
Mm-hmm.
The second round is looking awfully interesting here in the Chance/Miscellaneous bracket.
Oh, enough time for me to acquire beverages if need be.
All right, Randy, 7-10.
Can you guys stop trying to set up every matchup here? Your 7th seed, which was just talked about a couple minutes ago, Name That Tune, versus, thank you, Harry, the 10th seed, High Rollers.
Interesting.
Actually, not that close for me.
Closer than I thought it was going to be. Now that I'm considering it.
Not really that close for me. I mean, don't get me wrong. The new version of Name That Tune with Jane Krakowski is okay. Obviously, the classic. We need to start watching
conversations about the new version and how
this
we
was
feel
Tom
about
Kennedy's hallmark.
We do need to get back to watching that, Mr. Watkins.
I'm completely agreeing with you. Schedules and whatnot. I'm not entirely 100% at fault.
I mean, Mondays are bad for me. Other than that, I could probably make any other day work.
That's
Harry,
fair.
do you want to talk about Name That Tune and I'll take the High Rollers history? Or would you rather do that flip side?
I would rather have High Rollers just because I know more about High Rollers than I mean, I used to watch the syndicated version of Name That Tune, but I can tell you right now that I still, to this day, go back and watch episodes of High Rollers on YouTube.
It was a king of the Cindies. NBC radio era from 52 to 54 and 74 to 77. But had a CBS run in the 50s, Cindy's in the 70s and 80s, and now on Fox?
Yeah.
Yes, with Jane Krakowski.
I need to watch that version. Anyway,
yes,
High Rollers.
You do. Because we put it to you this way, though. John, you need to watch that version because Harry, he may be our tie-breaking vote. And you know what I'm talking about.
Are we going back to the singer chicks on this one?
Yes.
Okay, I'm still taking the. It's been so long since we watched, I forgot which one I took.
Erik, all I gotta say is how many shut the box talks have I sent you over the past weeks?
Didn't even beyond shut the box. You know our personal history with High Rollers.
And just as importantly, I sent you guys the link to the game on Roku for download.
Ooh.
I did.
But you know our personal history with High Rollers that goes back farther. And again, you took the blonde, I took the brunette.
Yeah, that makes sense. I which is weird because I usually take the brunettes. All right. High Rollers is an American television game show that involved contestants trying to win prizes by rolling dice. The format was based on the dice game Shut the Box. High Rollers debuted on July 1st, 1974 as part of NBC's daytime lineup. In September of 75, an accompanying series was launched in syndication and aired once weekly on local stations. Both of these series ended in 1976, with the daytime series ending on June 11th. Alex Trebek was the host for these series. On April 24th, 1978, NBC brought High Rollers back, with Trebek hosting, and aired until June 20th, 1980, when it was one of 3 series canceled to make room for the David Letterman show. You son of a bitch, Letterman. The series was produced by, Heatter?
Heater Quigley.
Quigley Productions. And then let's not also forget the big numbers, which is basically Shut the Box for the bonus game.
Yeah, it is Shut the Box. And also, one of, I would say, probably Wink Martindale's number 2 most known show from his hosting. He is the master of tic-tac-toe. Always will be.
Tic-tac-toe, Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, see, I know Wink Martindale more from Trivial Pursuit.
And I know more from High Rollers. But when you want Jim Lang's number 1 show, that's the name that tune.
See, when I think High Rollers, I think Trebek.
Really?
Yeah.
I can see his argument because if you look at the Trebek version and the Martindale version, I have one huge qualm with the Martindale version. To me, and I get because at around the time that it aired, but it was too cheap.
Yeah, I don't think. Oh, yeah, the prizes.
Yeah, film 8-cent trap.
The prizes in the opening round definitely went way down in value in the Martindale era.
Yeah, I watched the 70s. I watched the 70s on YouTube and such.
Always, yes, same.
Yeah, when you get a full column on Trebek, hello, you're easily 5 figures every time.
Yeah, just happened on one of the episodes that I just recently watched. Column 1 was completely filled with 5 prizes, and it ended up totaling like $21,000 in value.
Hot column, baby.
It was not the hot column, however.
Oh, that would have been epic if it was.
You gotta earn that shit, Watkins.
What's epic is winning $100,000 on a game show in the 80s.
Fair.
There's only one man who did that on a daytime show. More on him later.
Okay, so are we ready to take this to vote?
I can vote my winner in one note.
So you're taking Name That Tune. I'm going to choose High Rollers.
Sorry, John. On High Rollers with the upset.
Yes!
I can't.
High Rollers lives on.
But I'm okay with this. This is a situation where I could see no loser.
Yeah, this is a 1A1.
Either way, they're both great shows.
This is a 1A1. And I will say this much. I do think that a new version of High Rollers could work in the current climate.
Oh, dear Lord, yes.
Specifically with the way that we've been able to reboot different games from this particular time frame. I think if you can find a charismatic enough host to handle the hosting duties, that High Rollers would definitely work in our current climate. And it's a game that doesn't require a whole lot of explanation to get into to understand.
Yeah, and there's so many varieties in different ways that you could go about with parts of the structure from High Rollers. I mean, it's better than some of these newer alternatives that we're getting that are garbage. Excuse me.
Yeah, but I just couldn't vote against when I see a host list like Bill Cullen, Dennis James, Tom Kennedy, Jim Lang. I can't vote against that. There was no loser here.
You do owe it to yourself to check out at least 1 or 2 episodes of the Jane Krakowski version, because she's done a fantastic job.
You send me links, I'll watch them, guaranteed.
Well, we watch on Hulu because that's what we do. But I'm sure I could probably find some on YouTube for you if I look.
Yeah, Harry watches on Hulu. I watch on demand because I've got the season saved since it was on Fox. And yeah, another shout out to Australia because, oof.
Are we ready for Rainy to drop a deuce?
We are ready for Rainy to drop a deuce. Our final matchup in the Chance Miscellaneous.
Nobody's going to throw out game shows to mess up my reveal?
No, you threw us a good.
I mean, if you give
us a no lose last
time, probably
so.
pick it up.
All right, here you go. The 2 seed match game versus the 15 seed Pitfall.
At least one paid its host. Yeah, Trebek landed a Pitfall on that 15, let's just say. Yeah, there's some fun history with that show.
Oh, and seeing especially like the documentary about that and just those little things like you mentioned behind the scenes. Some of it better than some of the show itself. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I just searched Pitfall Game Show. First video that pops up. Pitfall, the game show that stiffed Alex Trebek.
So there's so many different versions of Match Game that it's going to be kind of difficult to get to all of them.
We're going to be saving that for the next round, I think. When you got the 60s, you got the 70s, you got a Match Game PM, which is just a syndicated version of the 70s. And you got Alec Baldwin.
Who is actually, once again, I go back to the list of hosts that have done the classic game shows justice here. We talk about Joel McHale and Card Sharks. We talk about Jane Krakowski with Name That Tune. Alec Baldwin has to be mentioned. Anthony Anderson with To Tell the Truth. Alec Baldwin has to be added to that list. Alec Baldwin has been fantastic as the host.
He has modernized that show perfectly. But I got to ask a question again for clarification. Because Match Game brings up a sticky wicket. When it's combined with another game show, Hollywood Squares, do we consider the Match Game part of the hour?
I think Hollywood Squares may end up being in trivia.
I'm sorry. You mentioned cricket reference, and yes, visual cue on an audio podcast, but John, out. Nope, not considered for this one.
Okay, so if Hollywood Squares does come up, Match Game Hollywood Squares Hour, it's its own entity.
Correct.
Randy, we're going to need an assist here. Unmute your microphone for this. Thank you. We're going to need an assist here. Will we see Hollywood Squares in the trivia bracket?
You will see Hollywood Squares in the trivia bracket.
Okay, and that game's actually a trivia game, so I'm okay with that.
See, I can't even look at him and scream, "You fool!"
We'll do that next time.
Thank you, Penn Jillette. Much appreciated.
Gilbert Gottfried.
Match Game, another game show marathoner.
So I've actually never seen an episode of Pitfall, and based on what I'm hearing, I was going to say it. Based on what I'm hearing, I'm not missing much. So this is going to be one of those situations with the devil you know over the devil you don't. Yeah, this is clearly going to be Match Game to me.
So if you search for, if you do a googly search for images and you see like this bank of elevators going left to right in the image search, basically the bonus round worked like this. It was a timed round, but if you got a question wrong, or if you hit the wrong elevator, you would fall into a pit as the elevator would go down, and they malfunctioned like a bitch.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It was 100 seconds?
I was Pitfall until you answered the question correctly.
I don't think he heard you, Erik.
It was 100 seconds for the bonus round?
Yeah, I think it was 100 seconds. Yeah.
Thought so.
Yeah.
I will have to YouTube this show because, again, I've never heard of it. But I got a funny feeling that based on what I'm hearing here, plus based on my own personal bias towards Match Game, which is, in my opinion, one of the more underrated game shows of all time, just due to longevity and entertainment value. And the fact is that, do you remember the old classic, You Can't Say That on Television?
On Match Game, you can.
Yeah, literally there were no holds barred on Match Game.
Oh, and by the way, for those of you out there, I actually liked Match Game 90. Come fight me.
I will.
So, clean sweep?
This one's
clean
not
sweep.
Shall I preview the second round matchups for the side of the bracket?
You shall.
One thing, if you're going to watch a Pitfall episode, go to Wink Martindale on this one. He's got the best compilation. That's all you need to watch. You don't need to touch anything else.
All right, your second round matchups in the Chance Miscellaneous bracket will be Price is Right versus What's My Line, Card Sharks versus Deal or No Deal, Wheel of Fortune versus Concentration, and High Rollers versus Match Game.
I'm really not liking how the rest of this bracket is looking.
Good. Hey, I'll get some revenge for these two burns you gave me today.
Well, I will say this much. Concentration's in trouble against Wheel of Fortune. I won't go any further into it than that, but Concentration is probably in trouble against Wheel of Fortune.
There's some no-brainers in that round, too, here.
That being said, I do think that Concentration is an underrated game show because of how mentally strong you had to be in order to play that game. Because not only did you have to remember where the prizes were, but you had to think quickly on your feet in order to try to figure out the riddle behind the squares.
So here's a funny thing, looking at the votes and how everything shook out. Speaking of Pitfall and Trebek getting burned, Trebek got burned more than he got voted today. He got shut down on To Tell the Truth. He got in on Concentration and got shut down on Pitfall.
Yeah, but we haven't hit Trebek's modus operandi.
Actually, no, he's finished even because he's got the high rollers, too. He's batting 500.
Yeah, but we haven't hit Trebek's game show opus.
And on that note, more on that next episode.
Yeah, there's only one bracket left, isn't there, Mr. Isbell?
Yep, only 16 more game shows to talk about.
In this first round. Erik, you're the host. You know how to do this part of the show.
And then just note that there's 2 lifelines left. I'm just saying. It's just, so you're definitely going to want to stay tuned next time for those. But in the meantime, yes, I am the host. Yes, in the meantime, in between time, I am the host. But, Harry, where can people find you on the socials and whatnot?
At HEB the Eagle, pretty much everywhere you're going to look for me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Yahoo Instant Messenger, and AOL Instant Messenger, if those were still things. Bring back AIM, you some bitches. In addition, I also co-host The Reaction on the Chairshot Radio Network every Monday night at 11:30 p.m. Myself, Tony Acero from 411 Mania, and the co-hostess with the mostesses, the just returned Liz Puglisi, who, of course, as we know, we discussed here on the last time we recorded, just recently coming off of losing her mother. So, again, my performance on this particular episode is once again dedicated to the memory of Angela Puglisi. In addition, we also have the kickoff here on the W2M network, but I'll let Erik talk more about that because he's got to have something to plug to.
Well, obviously, because again, you can hear myself and Harry on the kickoff. And Harry, I'll say this. They'll bring back AIM when you finally join me on Snapchat.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Jonathan, where can people find you on the socials?
That would be over in the Tweety box, JTN 2002. Also, you can catch me on Twitch every so often, usually beating my head against the wall against the random chance of a game called Final Fantasy Mystic Quest.
Just don't say Twitch on Twitter, or else you'll get shadow banned. Apparently,
I do not cross the streams.
Never cross the streams.
That's why the Facebook stays to the personal friends.
Which reminds me, did I ever shoot you a friend request?
More on that when we're off air.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, since we're getting all to that, you can find me on Facebook, or just look for Erik Watkins. And I mean, by now, I would hope you would know the drill. Picture the guy sitting in the recliner next to the laundry holding a glass of wine. You've got the right guy. If you're looking for different all sorts of advice or to see me start flame wars or what have you. But if you're looking for live tweeting, and admittedly I have missed a couple of opportunities, my bad, you can find me on Twitter at Squid Sportshead. And that's where, live tweeting and further discussions and other things, as I am constantly being given the finger from
audio podcast.
And he's muted at that as well, so you can't even hear these bits of frustration.
Not you. I'm flipping off somebody else who you have to introduce next, sir.
Oh, well, obviously, if there's that, we'll get to that. But if you're trying to get to like some other different things other than live tweeting and all this and that, you can undergo my proper, thorough, very stringent vetting process when you slide into my DMs. You can get access to my dark Twitter, my Snapchat, my Kick, my OnlyFans, and a whole other variety of social media places where I might be on. And naturally, this plug brought to you by the fine folks at Rick's TNT LLC. Website and commercial coming soon. Notary services available along with wedding officiating services in the state of Florida. Tax consultation and tutoring services also available.
Don't forget to let our guest do his socials as well, Erik.
Of course not. That's why I haven't fully ended the show, Randy.
Yeah, you can find me at Randy Isbell. Also check out my video game podcast, Chapter Select, which you can find on WTM Network and all of that stuff. And as Erik said at the beginning of the show, R&R Sports Report on Facebook and YouTube and all sorts of other stuff that I can't say no to any more projects. So there you go. That's why I'm doing this. Driving you guys
As
crazy.
always, help control the podcast producer population. Have Randy Isbell spayed and neutered.
And just
Especially after this bracket. Fuck.
do us a favor and remember, life is like a game show. See you next time on the W2M Network.
Until you